Hello there, El Presidente Tel once again bringing you another update into the News Corporation phone hacking scandal that's continued to make headlines in the UK. Now, I haven't been on in the last few days, I haven't been able to put these updates, so I thought I'd do them in one big go and just get them all through at once. Now, the first one we're going to go to is the fact that Sarah Payne, the head of the Phoenix Chief Advocates charity and the mother of the murdered Sarah Payne, who the News of the World campaigns so virulently for, to have Sarah's Law, which is similar to Meghan's Law in the United States, where you have the right to know if you live near a registered sex offender. They pushed for that, and Sarah Payne really made very close links with the News of the World and its editor at the time, Rebecca Brooks. And she has just found out this week that she was on the list of people that Glenn Mulcaire was instructed to hack and try and find out personal information about. Now, for her, that must be really, really tough, because Rebecca Brooks, like I say, very close to her, and her company very close to the News of the World, and the News of the World really made a lot of gains and a lot of political capital off this tragedy by bringing in this law and lobbying politicians. And Sarah Payne went in on the last day, this is from Private Eye, that she went in on the last day of the News of the World, and she'd had an aneurysm, at least one, in the last 18 months or so. She's really suffering physically, and they told her, go home, you're not well. And she's reported in Private Eye to have said, no, I'm staying here because Rebecca's called in a favour. And she then went on to say that her phone had never been hacked. Well, that's most likely now untrue. She may well have been hacked by the private investigator Glenn Mulcaire, who is also in the news this week in the next story in this whole scandal, that he has reported through his legal team that he was told to hack people's phones, acting on the instructions of others. He did not act unilaterally, was his statement. Now, obviously, to a certain extent, he has been convicted of this, so we can say that he is knowledge of phone hacking because he did it, and we know he did it because he was tried, convicted by a jury of his peers, and sentenced to prison for it. But he's got really nothing to lose on this one, so he might as well say it, because he's now trying to show the fact that it wasn't one lone investigator and one lone royal editor, much like Sean Hoare, the whistleblower who was then found dead not long before the Murdochs were called in to testify before the Select Committee. He's trying to show that it was endemic at News Corporation, or at the very least the News of the World, that this practice of phone hacking just became a constant thing, that it was a way people were getting stories. Now, the other developments in the story have been that around the same time that people are beginning to question that James Murdoch, is he fit to run B Sky B? Is he fit to be the heir to his father's empire? Well, B Sky B has given $1 billion to its shareholders in dividends, and they unanimously vote James Murdoch back as chairman. So no real big surprise there. News Corporation is absolutely desperate at this point to buy its existing shareholders' loyalty, and they will do anything to make sure that that sticks. But the bigger thing that had wider implications for the entire sort of UK print media, I suppose you could say, is that the Press Complaints Commission head, Baroness Buscombe, has stepped down, saying that she chaired the Press Complaints Commission, but that she obviously has failed to investigate this on her watch, and therefore she will not be carrying on. Now, the Press Complaints Commission is a bit of a paper tiger to most people, because the Press Complaints Commission is entirely voluntary. How can you have something that's going to regulate the press when it's already known that the Daily Express had pulled out, didn't want anything to do with it, and it's been fairly toothless. I mean, it's chaired, one of the people who heads it was Paul Dacre, however you want to pronounce it, who was the editor of the Daily Mail. I mean, how can you have the watchmen watch themselves? This is the point. There needs to be some sort of middle ground. There needs to be a stronger regulation on the press here, but not so much that they can't write these stories. Because if we'd had such strong regulation of the press and its intrusions, we would have never had this phone hacking story out in the first place. So there you go. There's been a lot going on in it this week. It seems to go on and on. It keeps continuing. But I'm going to keep going on here. I'll keep posting as more things come up. This is Del Presidente Tel, wishing you all love, peace and liberty.